What is work-integrated learning, and how does it prepare Canada's students for the future of our workforce and our economy?
Work-integrated learning is a term that's used to describe a variety of educational experiences where students complete authentic work-based activities in partnership with industry, community organizations, or even the general public as a formal component of their educational program. Work-integrated learning certainly isn't new, and it's been long recognized for its ability to support students in the transition from school to work. And there's a couple of key aspects behind that. So first of all, it really is the experience that the students get. They have an opportunity to apply the knowledge and the skills that they're developing in the classroom in that authentic context. And in those experiences, they deepen their skills, they strengthen their understanding of a variety of different organizations and industries, and they also help to understand where they want to go in life. So we talk about it as career clarity. Oftentimes with work-integrated learning programs, students have an opportunity to work for 3 or 4 different organizations within their academic program. And that helps them to really see their fit within a specific organization. It can spark a passion for a particular industry that they might not have even been aware of as a possible career option for them. I think when we start to think about the future of work in a world where workers will need to be constantly upskilling and reskilling, pivoting their knowledge from one career into possibly an entirely different field that didn't exist when they graduated, there are some real components of work-integrated learning that uniquely prepare our students with the agility, the comfort with change, the ability, the aptitude to learn quickly and to build relationships. We've been talking a lot about sort of learning integrated work at Waterloo and how we can take this model of the classroom learning and the workplace application and use it for rapid upskilling and reskilling. So what are the ways in which people might be able to come back to campus for shorter periods of time, or to come back and have internships in mid-career that would then help them transition into these growing sectors. So lots and lots of work is underway on both sides of it, I would say, at a number of post-secondary institutions across the country.
Clearly, there are certain current and future needs that the workforce has and will have. And how does work-integrated learning contribute to fulfilling them? Maybe you could even list some of those needs in your view.
So this is something that we've spent a lot of time working on at the University of Waterloo, and we've developed what we call our Future Ready Talent Framework that lists 12 competencies that students need now for success in their work-integrated learning opportunities, but that will be absolutely critical for navigating a rapidly changing workforce. Those 12 competencies cluster into 4 specific areas. So expanding and transferring expertise, developing self, building relationships, and designing and delivering solutions. And what we know about work-integrated learning is that it is a holistic educational program that gives students opportunities to develop the specific competencies in each of those 4 clusters. So when we think about the students on their work terms or their work-integrated learning experiences, they're not only transferring the knowledge that they've learned in the classroom, but they're deepening their skills, whether that's specific technical skills that they're learning by working with an employer or other context-specific skills. All work-integrated learning programs have reflective elements built into them. And in those reflective components, students really get an opportunity to learn how to assess their skills effectively, to identify gaps that they have, to think about critical aspects of self-management like emotional intelligence, adaptability, resilience, and then, of course, career management.
What would you say are the benefits of work-integrated learning to the companies, to the institutions, and frankly to the sectors that accept students that employ for these kind of work-integrated positions?
So there are a multitude of benefits for community or industry partners that bring students into their workplace or bring projects into the classroom with students. One of the most commonly cited benefits of work-integrated learning is strengthening an organization or an industry's talent pipeline. So work-integrated learning opportunities are often seen as an extended job interview. In that short period of time, the student is able to determine if that's an industry or an organization that they would like to work in, and the employer can test out the student for fit. In those opportunities, the employer can also help the student develop specific technical skills or industry-specific skills so as to reduce some of that training burden for entry-level employees. Of course, there's just awareness of the organization, so whether that's branding of a specific organization or more broadly of a sector, by engaging with students while they're still in school, industries have an opportunity to raise students' awareness of the benefits of working within that particular sector. And then another really commonly cited benefit is just the fresh perspectives, the energy, the enthusiasm that students bring into the workplace. I remember hearing a CEO of a multimedia company say once, "I would rather bring in 10 co-op students than pay one consultant, because the ideas that they bring, the questions that they bring can't be paid for by a consultant." What we've learned at Waterloo in over 60 years of running the world's largest co-op program is that time after time, once the employers have brought that first student into the workplace, they report so many benefits. There was a study that was done by Deloitte in 2019 that showed for every dollar that an employer expended in paying a student, they received $2 back in value from that student. And another study that was done of over 1,000 of our co-op employers, over 93% reported a positive return on investment for their time spent mentoring and supervising that co-op student.
What are the needs of the electricity industry's future workforce from your vantage point? I know you've done some projects with the sector. And how can work-integrated learning contribute to our future energy workforce in general?
So the electricity sector, like many other sectors in the Canadian economy, is changing at a rapid pace, and that is changing the types of jobs within the sector and the kinds of skills that are needed to support those jobs. The electricity sector also has an aging workforce and really requires young talent, both for succession planning, but also to bring in those new and varied skills that aren't traditionally associated with the electricity sector. And I really do think that the opportunity with respect to work integrated learning for the electricity sector is first and foremost awareness. Particularly when we're speaking of underrepresented groups within the electricity sector, and particularly when looking at bringing in students that might be engaged in disciplines that aren't typically associated with the electricity sector. So there's going to be a huge need for IT professionals in the electricity sector, for management. And so, of course, electrical engineering students might be thinking, I would love to do a work term within the electricity sector. But work-integrated learning provides an opportunity to bring in students studying a variety of disciplines. Perhaps it's that English student that could move into a management position down the road that has never really considered working in the electricity sector. And I think that exposure to the way in which the sector is changing, thinking about things like green energy and the importance of it, students oftentimes tell us that they're looking for work that aligns with their values, and aspects like climate change and how work in the electricity sector could help to improve our world and to cut down on global warming maybe isn't something that a lot of students have thought of, but if they're exposed to the sector through Will, that might open up the door for them to consider a career in the field.
How should employers and educators in the electricity ecosystem approach Will, both individually and collectively? And who else has to play a role in your view?
So I do think that specifically for the electricity sector, but more broadly when we just think about the rapidly changing workforce, One of the things that we have to do with work integrated learning is to sort of break down this traditional notion that students should only be having work experiences that are directly related to their academic discipline. Of course, we need students in relevant trades having work experiences in the electricity sector. Of course, we want the engineering students to be thinking about having a co-op work term. As we think about the future of work integrated learning in Canada, we really want to look for those opportunities to help students see the spectrum of career opportunities that exist for them, whether or not that career opportunity is directly related to their academic discipline. So for the electricity sector, that means finding ways to come on campus to get into classes that might not be typical so they can raise awareness of the key issues within the sector, as well as some of the benefits working therein. And for the academic institutions, that means thinking a little bit differently about the kinds of relationships that we would have with industry partners or community partners that may not have that typical direct connection between academic program and work integrated learning experience. I think what's important for us to maintain a strong work integrated learning ecosystem in the country is that there needs to be that consistent level of attention and resources from the provincial governments, particularly when it comes to funding post-secondary institutions for delivering work integrated learning programs. There are staff within universities and colleges that are specialists in spanning the boundaries between academia and industry. And those staff work with employers, particularly SMEs, to help them determine the kinds of skills that students have so that those organizations can build quality, realistic projects that students can work on. And so, while it's absolutely fantastic that we've had funding from the federal government to support the industry side, it's also critical to recognize that the system has a third partner in it, and that is the post-secondary institution, and that work integrated learning programs require resources on both sides.
If you had 30 seconds to pitch someone in a position of power in Canada to strengthen and improve how Canada trains our future workforce, and I would say the strength of the overall education ecosystem, who would you choose to pitch, and what would you urge him, her, or them to do?
I would likely urge the federal government to consider the important role that international students can play in Canada's future workforce. So, as I've already mentioned, there are lots of wonderful federal funding programs to support work integrated learning. Oftentimes, international students are not eligible for those programs. There are also a number of challenges associated with international students getting co-op work permits or permits to even participate in work integrated learning programs. So I would urge the federal government to streamline the process for students to engage in work integrated learning opportunities, for international students to engage in work integrated learning opportunities, and then to open up the federal funding programs to these students. We know that Canada's labor force will need international talent to buttress it, and these international students are an excellent source of that talent. If we give them work integrated learning opportunities while they're with us in school, they may decide that they want to make Canada their home.